Bowen and Bowie Jane.
All right, hello, it's Bowie Jane here with Jess Bowen for Babes Behind the Beats, and we're going to have a little chin wag as we always do. How are you, Jess?
I am doing well. I love our little chin wags because I feel like it's us getting to kind of catch up. Even we talk a lot, but sometimes we have days where we're both busy. So I want to know what you've been up to. Actually, I do want to know what you've been up to because I saw that you were just on SWAT again.
That's right, this week, which I didn't even realize things were back filming again because we are in the middle of COVID and a lot of productions aren't back on, but SWAT has been back for a month. So I was interested to see when they text me, hey, can you do this scene? I was like, yeah, sure, I'll be there. And I was interested to see what the protocols were. It wasn't as bad as I thought, actually. So they take your temperature when you get there. I had a 6:30 a.m. call time, by the way.
That sounds horrible.
You can imagine how I went with that. I was up for most of the night, worried I wouldn't wake up.
Oh, that's the worst too. And you can't sleep because you're like, I'm going to miss my alarm. And then you can't fall asleep.
Yeah. And I was on SWAT in the first season, so they could bring me back because it's been a while and I've got different hair, etc. Yeah, they took our temperatures. It was all outdoors and it's in like a parking lot which was covered, and they had these long tables. So you would sit at either end. So there'd only be 2 people per table. Normally you might have 6 or 8 people per table, all the actors and the crew and whatever. But there were just 2 per table, 1 up either end, and the tables were all spread apart. Everything was outdoors. You wore a mask right up to filming, and then you took the mask off for the scene.
Yeah.
And all the crew wore masks, and the people who were shooting up front had the shield and the mask because the actor at this point doesn't have a mask on.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so it was really interesting to see it all work, and it was pretty smooth, I thought. I think production should definitely be able to be up and running.
How did that work? Because you were DJing a scene, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure what the rules are for them as to how many people they can have in a scene or on set. It seems like it was probably reduced capacity, but I can't be sure. They were trying to make the scene look busy with very few actors. So I could see the screens, what they were shooting, and I was like, wow, it's so clever. If you've got people in the background running around out of focus, it looks like more people than it is anyway. So pretty clever. And that production is so well done. And we've actually got some of the crew who are listening to our podcast. So hello.
That's very cool. Hey, guys.
Yeah, Clown Boy and his wife. Thanks for having me on set.
That sounds so cool.
And I love the director, Billy Gearhart. He's just the coolest guy ever. So if anyone runs into him, he's a good guy. Yeah. And you've got something coming up as well, don't you? So
I was just going to say, yeah, it was interesting to hear that because I just booked a commercial because they needed a female drummer for this commercial that I'm doing. And I've been just filling out all of these paperwork about the procedures because of the guidelines since COVID, Yeah, I mean, some of the rules are you're going to be wearing gloves and, of course, a mask, but all up until you get on and they start filming you. There's just a whole bunch of different rules. They're bring your own hand sanitizer. They're basically saying bring everything for yourself because they're we don't want anyone sharing anything. I guess even hand sanitizer. I haven't done a shoot or anything like this since COVID happened. So I was really excited to get a commercial, which was awesome. And then what's also really fun about this is because they needed a female drummer, but then my girlfriend gets to be in it too, Lauren, because they were we can have her in this shot with you, and so it's going to be cute. It's our first commercial together.
Lauren's an actual actor.
She's an actual actress. So when I'm sitting there, when they're okay, now do this face, I'm just going to be Lauren, what do I do? Show me how to do this.
Moving on to who we've got for our guests this week. We have Christy McDonald from Nashville. And she is a singer-songwriter, and we're super excited to speak to her. She's actually a friend of Jules Wertman, who's a friend of mine as well. I just can't wait to chat with her because she really has worked her way up in the songwriting scene, and her vocals are used on a lot of dance tracks, and I can't wait to speak to her.
Yeah, I'm so excited. Let's get her on the line.
Hello, everyone. It is Bowie Jane and Jess Bowen on Babes Behind the Beats podcast. And we have today Nashville singer-songwriter Christy McDonald, who's signed to Big Yellow Dog Music, which is Meghan Trainor for those who don't know, and has released with Grammy-winning DJ Robin Schulz, which debuted at 4 on the iTunes World Charts. Welcome, legend Christy.
Ooh, a legend. Hello. How are y'all? Thank y'all for having me.
Oh, I love your accent so much.
Oh my
It's
goodness.
so cute.
I love yours. This is North Carolina accent. When I moved here to Nashville, people were like, "Where are you from?" And I was like, "What do you mean?"
You were born in North Carolina?
Yes, I was born right on the border of North South Carolina, and I grew up in a little town. And then I kept singing, and I wouldn't sing in public. I would just sing in my bedroom. It was hilarious. And I didn't get the courage to sing out loud till years later, you guys. Like years later. I'm actually getting ready to go back home in a week or so I'm so excited. I love it there. Have you guys ever been?
In North Carolina, I've played shows in Asheville. I think Asheville is beautiful. What area are you from?
From Wilmington. If you go all the way to Wilmington, North Carolina, Wrightsville Beach, because no one knows Tabor City, so I say Wilmington. But my mom always taught us to travel. So we would travel and go all over the world, but we'd come back to that little town. So we got to see the best of, both worlds, like have that little small community, but then at the same time, be able to walk into wherever and have different cultures. So it was really kind of an amazing childhood. It was really sweet.
That's so cute.
So cool. And then you went to university after that. Where did you go to university?
I went to UNCW and I surfed. I lived in a little purple beach house with my girlfriends, and we surfed in the mornings, and then we went to college, went to classes in the afternoons, and I had a little Jeep I would take. We lived on a little island called Wrightsville Beach, so you would take the bridge over to go to Wilmington and go to school, and then take the bridge back over to the island. Kind of sounds crazy when you think about it, but that was my life.
Oh my God, it sounds amazing.
Yeah, that sounds very cool.
It was really cool. It was like our house was this little purple lavender house with white trim, and to the right, it was all the huge boats would come in to port, and then to the left was the ocean. And so that was your life. And then I decided I had to come try this music dream. And so I told my parents after college, I got a PR degree. And after college, I was like, hey, I'm going to go sing. And they're like, what are you talking about? They didn't know I sang. I did not sing in public at all. So they're like, what do you mean you're going to go sing? I'm like, well, yeah, I actually sing in my car, and I'm going to go try this.
Oh, good on you. How good's that?
That's amazing.
I sing in my car. I think this is my passion. I'm going for it.
I know. And they were like, what are you talking about? My mom sang classical and opera, and she loved Motown and Aretha. And so we were always listening to all this kind of music, tons of different genres, and just kind of inspiring you. And I remember being a little girl sitting in my bedroom, and I had an orange record player. It was my mom's. And I remember listening to all those Motown singers, and I was like, well, gosh, how do they hit that note? Like, what do they do? So then I would try to hit it. But if anybody would walk in my bedroom, I'd quit. Like, I would never sing in front of anyone. But I remember, like, those women on that can hit it, then maybe I could hit it. So I would try to mimic what they do. And then that's kind of like how I even learned to sing, which is so crazy when you just think about your past. It's just funny when you think about it.
You were at a young age already very interested in music then. You just weren't open about sharing that passion or like sharing it with other people.
I was so shy. The more you get to know me, I'm so outgoing, and people are like, oh, she's so funny and blah, blah, blah. But when it comes to something I really love, I was so shy. I would write songs in my bedroom, but I wouldn't let anyone know. And to be honest, I didn't know what I was doing. I thought I was just writing poems, or I was always the kid that would get the CD or go look online on the computer and try to figure out, well, who wrote that? Who produced that? And, what does this mean? Like, I was always that kid trying to figure it out, who these people are. And then you realize, like, oh, people have jobs. This is a job. You're like, because where I come from, you go, you're a lawyer, you're a doctor, you're a dentist, you're a teacher. And, like in my family, you go to be something. Mm-hmm. And then the whole time I'm in my bedroom writing songs. And like, I wrote my first song in the 5th grade, and I went over on the playground, and I would not sing it, but I told my best friend on the playground, which, by the way, we're still best friends today. Hilarious. Still to this day, you guys, I won't say the ages, but we are still, I talked to her 2 days ago, but I went over on the playground and I said, hey, I just wrote this, and I told her, which looking back, gosh, I guess I've been doing this whole time. Where I come from, you didn't understand that it was a real job. As I got older, I would meet other people, and I was like, wow, okay, this is a thing. The people you see, like in the credits on Spotify and the credits on old CDs or on the computer, you're like, okay, this is a real thing. People really write songs for a living. These are the producers. These are the people. I remember right when I graduated college, we took a trip to LA. This is like the story of my life, you guys. My friends and I took a trip to LA, and I was like, hey, Mom, I'm going to LA. I'm going to go with these people, and they have these friends that work at some some movie studio. I mean, like, I don't know, but I'm going to go. So we take off, and it's the craziest story, you guys. The two people we went to go visit with were friends of a friend that lived there in Wilmington with us, and we're at the movie studios, and they're huge. These people are huge. They worked on Jurassic Park, all these huge movies. We go back to their house in LA, and we're sitting on the floor. I'm sitting on the floor eating spaghetti, talking to this man who's some huge movie guy. Gosh, I wish I could think of their names.
It's okay.
I mean, they're huge. When I Googled them later, I was like, oh my gosh. But I'm sitting in the floor, and he told me, I will never forget this, you guys. He told me, he said, Christy, I used to live in West Virginia. And I was like, what? Because you're in this huge mansion. You're from West Virginia. He's like, I used to live in West Virginia, and I knew I would never make it in West Virginia. So I had to go to where the people are. So he said, you, my dear, you have got to go to where the people are. He said, so if you want to write music, if you want to make music, you're not going to do it living at Wrightsville Beach and in Wilmington. And I was like, I went back to Wrightsville Beach, told my parents, hey, I'm going to do this. And I literally, the next 2 months, packed up, had a move-in truck, and I moved. From that one experience, I have not regretted a single ounce of it.
Isn't that crazy how just one person can influence you so much and tell you some sort of advice where you're just that struck with me? That is going to stick with me. I need to do that. That makes sense. I'm doing that, you know?
Yes. And it's amazing because he too came from a small little town in West Virginia, just like I came from the small little town in North Carolina. And look what he accomplished. You know, they did Jurassic Park in Maui and all these places, these remote islands. And I'm just like, well, gosh, if he could do it, why can't we accomplish that? Like, let's just go try. I mean, they might like me too. So that was the main thing of me moving to Nashville. And I remember being in Nashville. I was here for like 3 weeks, and I felt like such a bum because I didn't have a job. I was used to working. I taught gymnastics. I worked with kids. I was like kid care at the Holiday Inn. I did everything, y'all. I worked so many jobs. And that was when I lived at Wrightsville Beach, Wilmington. But when I moved here, I felt like a bum because I didn't have a job. I was like, you know what? I'm going to get a job. So I went walking up and down Music Row. In Nashville, at the time, it was 2 streets where all the labels were. And I went walking up and down Music Row, and it was a Friday. And I was like, how am I going to get a job? Willie is the security guard at Warner Brother Records. And Willie and Settle, I did not know these people from Adam. Willie and Settle, I walked up with my resume. I had a gray suit on. You guys, I don't wear suits. I had a gray suit up, wearing it, walking up and down Music Row. And I walked up to the security guards and I talked to them, and they were like, hey, you need to go to this temp agency. This is where we hire all of our people. And I was like, okay, sure. So I go over to the temp agency, and this is on Friday. Nobody in the music business is working on Friday, honey. Nobody is working on Friday. But I went to this temp agency, and I remember taking the test, and the lady told me, she goes, well, you haven't been in town long enough. You don't deserve to be able to go back over there because they actually needed a receptionist. And I knew that from the security guards. So she goes, well, you haven't been in town long enough. I'm not going to send you over there. And I'm thinking, well, this is silly. So I took myself right back over Friday afternoon at this point to the security guards. I said, look, you guys, she's not going to send me back over here. I said, so what do I do to get this job? I said, I graduated on the dean's list. I can answer a phone or get food or do whatever I need to do to get my foot in the door. What do I need to do? So he goes, oh my God, come upstairs. And I'm like, what? I'm like, okay. So there I am, green as green can be, walking up the stairs of Warner Brothers and with my little resume. And literally, you guys, he took me up to the HR on a Friday, took me upstairs, and he's like, she's gone. And in the process, he lays my resume on her desk. And then as we're passing by, we passed Jim Ed's office. And he's like, well, this is Jim Ed's office. And I'm like, who's Jim Ed? He's like, oh, you're going to be fabulous. Jim Ed's the president. I had no clue.
No.
Now Jim Ed and I are dear friends. But at the time, I had no clue, y'all. No clue. He's like, oh, honey, you will so get this job. I'm like, I will. Next thing you know, they call me in on a Monday and I got the job.
Oh, wow.
How good is that? That is fantastic.
And honestly, I still see that lady that told me she wouldn't send me. I've seen her periodically, and I just say, hey.
Hey, I'll never forget you.
I just said, hey. I was like, that lady would not send me for this job. I'm going to go get it.
Good for you. That is incredible. Oh my God.
I love it that you had the balls, as we say in Australia, to just go for it on Music Row, which is unbelievable. So you then get the job, which is incredible the way you did it. You get told no, but then you go back and you go straight to the source. So you get the job working as the secretary or the receptionist at Warner. Now, what was your first day like and what was that job like? Because all of a sudden you've gone from country town to working at one of the biggest labels.
Yeah, like the biggest
on
label.
reception. Like that must have been, whoa,
Yeah.
incredible.
I'm not going to lie. It was so crazy. And I look back at that time, you guys, it was the craziest thing. It was like one day they found out that this is an example. They found out, they're like, oh my God, you love basketball and the tournament's here. And so literally the vice president would come down to my desk, lay tickets in front of me. I'm like, what's this for? So they would call and have a person come do my job and I would go down and watch the tournament at the arena. My mom was like, honey, this is not a normal job. And you would have people come in. I mean, huge stars. I was there when Blake Shelton got signed and Blake Shelton came in with his dad. Like you would see him, you would see Faith Hill, you see Tim McGraw, like all these people, but you just had to act like it was your cousin Kay, you know. But internally you're like, oh my gosh, that's Faith Hill. Like, oh my gosh. But you had to just be chill about it. I mean, it was just crazy. There would be times where, because I'm such a huge sports fan, they're like, oh, do you want to go to the suite, sit in the suite for the game? And I'm like, on the 50-yard line. I'm like, yeah. Or the shows. I'll never forget this. This was amazing. Matresa Bird wrote a song called Strawberry Wine and by Dina Carter. I don't know if y'all know that, but it's an amazing. I know that she was in the conference room at Warner Brothers with a 4-piece set, singing that song and playing it, and it was amazing. Oh, and then you also had the business side where I went through 10 layoffs and 3 different presidents. So you also had that side where they're like, hey, Christy, you're going to go work marketing today, or you're going to go work for the GM today, or they would just keep moving me around. It's like I got to have a whole different set of education on that side. You didn't learn that in school. You were just thrown into it. And I just kept saying yes. And they just kept moving me back around. And it's just kind of amazing because it just proves your loyalty and your worth when you can keep your mouth shut. I would know everything. I knew when presidents were going to be the president before even half the company knew because of who was calling in. You would know all these things before other people would even know. But I kept that job for that long because I knew you just keep your mouth shut and do what you're supposed to do. But the whole time was an internal struggle mentally and internally because I knew that's not where I wanted to be. Yes, I can go do marketing. Yes, I can go to this side of the business, but that's not what I came here for. So I knew I had to make the switch or I was just going to keep working on the business side, which I know a lot of people would kill for even that experience. I knew if I wanted to do this, I had to go the other way.
Yeah. And had you always wanted to be a singer up front, or did you feel like you wanted to be behind the scenes doing the writing like you had talked about? You would see these producers and the writers, like you used to look up songs to just look at who was writing and producing these songs. Was that what your goal was, you think? Or were you like, I want to be up front, a star, I want to be on stage?
I always wanted to be on stage. I always wanted to be the artist and the singer, which is so funny when you look back at my life. I did not sing in front of anyone until I think I was 20. 20 years. Wow. Yes, I did not sing in front of anyone until I was like 20 or 21. I was so terrified. There was the one drunk karaoke night, you got up and sang Aretha and everyone's looking at you like, what? Like, what is going on?
Where did that come from? We didn't know you had that in you.
Yes, but I was like, oh, it was a cocktail. I had a cocktail, but...
That cocktail gave me the voice of an angel.
I had a cocktail, but other than that, I was terrified. But internally, I knew, I was like, that's what I want to do. I want to be on stage. But at the same time, I kept writing. As I got older, I realized, people write their own music and they sing their own music. And then a great lesson I had from Jim Ed, who was the president of Warner Brothers. He came from LA and started Warner Brothers, started the whole thing here. And that was the man that they took me in the office the first time I went into Warner Brothers and said, Jim Ed. And I was like, who? Now I can say is my dear friend. And he's been a great mentor to me as well because he told me, Christy, he's like, look at these people. The people who have had a continuous artist career are the people who are able to write their music and sing it. When you can do both, you don't have to always be hunting for that next song. He's like, you can go do it. So I always remember that. I can do that. Why not just keep trying to write and see if I can get with people and who will write with me? And that was a whole other ball game. Learning to sing in the studio with a microphone, no clue. No, I had no clue. Like, I'm in my car. And then when you get up in front of that microphone, it's a whole different story, you know? Walking into rooms with people that, oh my gosh, can I do this? Am I good enough? You have all those thoughts going through your head. And eventually you just have to say, stop it. Just go do what you do and then see what happens.
For those who don't know the Nashville scene, it's very much, there's heaps of co-writes that go on and there are writing rooms everywhere. This whole building set up for writing is really different to a lot of other places. When you first decided, hey, I've got to switch out of the business side to get into the songwriting side and write my own music and because I want to be on stage, how did you get that happening? Because you're now signed to Big Yellow Dog Music, which is huge. How did you transition from that to getting signed to a big publishing company?
After Warner, when I just made the decision of like, I have to stop being the receptionist, going to work for the GM, moving all around, I have to stop this. Even though like I miss the perks, I'm not going to lie, y'all, the perks are fabulous. They were so fabulous.
Sounds like it.
With that being said, I got to stop this. So I started a band and I started playing out, doing shows. Like, I have got to get over this fear. Like when you're getting ready to walk on stage, you feel like you're going to throw up, but you can't throw up. You just have to go do it. So I pushed myself to do that. And then before Big Yellow Dog, that came a publishing deal. And then I got signed to Curb, which is so funny because the first label that ever looked at me was Island Def Jam. Like they heard a tape. I'm not even going to lie. My friend had this old little, you know how like some songwriters will still walk in and have a tape that they'll talk into? In Nashville, that still happens. Okay.
Oh, wow.
And somebody sent that to Island Def Jam. So then when they met me, they were like, well, wait, you're a white girl. I was like, yes, I'm a white girl. That's my singing voice. If it's going to be weird because I sing solely and then I talk country, I was like, well, maybe I'll just get a country deal. So I went and I ended up signing to Curb, and Jim Ed, that I talked about before, ended up being my producer at Curb with the head of A&R there. But sadly, the music never came out. It's on a shelf. So if you're driving down 16th Avenue, I have a whole record sitting on the shelf. But it's okay. I mean, it was great experiences and it was a lot of fun. But from there, I got out of that record deal and I realized, I was like, what am I doing? Because sometimes in the studio, they'll try to water you down to not sing what you really just sing, what you're singing in your car, you know? I'm going to say one thing sad and then we'll come back to happy. I here writing with people and both of my parents got sick. So I moved home and sadly, they both passed of cancer.
Oh, sorry.
That's my one little sad part. But when that happened, I was like, have a drink, get your cocktail.
Yeah.
I'm getting my Diet Dr. Pepper.
There you go.
When that happened, I was like, well, if it was your time to go, what would you be upset that you did not do? And for me, I made a whole list. And I was like, I'd be upset if I didn't have music out because I have been working towards this music thing for so long. I would be so mad. I need to go back to Nashville and I need to do what I'm going to do. So I literally moved back to town. This is 3 years ago. And I moved into a hotel. I had everything in storage. I needed to buy a home. I needed to find where I was going to live, what I was going to do. And I had some songs cut at this time. So I was like, okay. Well, I ended up calling people. I was like, well, I know whoever. I can call whoever to go write. So I called Nathan Chapman, who did all the Taylor Swift stuff. I called Danny Rader. People don't know, but Nathan was my first producer ever. We laugh about it. This is right before Taylor Swift. So we didn't know what we were doing, y'all. I didn't know how to sing in a microphone. He was learning. We didn't know what we were doing. And so
Hey, Jess, didn't Nathan Chapman work with your band?
Yes. So that's crazy that you just mentioned Nathan Chapman. That's why I was like, oh my God, because I'm in a pop band though. But our band worked with Nathan Chapman years and years ago, obviously. This was 2009, maybe 2010. Yeah. So that's why when you brought his name, I was like, oh my God, someone I know.
I just talked to him 2 days ago. I love to tell him.
Say the Somerset. Yeah. He would know our band. We worked together. We did some songs together.
I'm going to write it down. Tell me the name. Somerset?
The Somerset was the band.
I love it. I'm totally telling. Yeah, I love when you all know it's the same people.
Were you starting out writing country music or what was it that you were leaning towards?
When I was a little girl and I was writing, it wasn't country. And then when I moved here, people were doing country. So, well, maybe that's what I should do. But then you learn too quickly that you just got to do what you do. So when I moved back here and I was in the hotel, I called Nathan Chapman and I just told him, I said, hey, I have all these ideas and these songs, and it was taking that time at the beach. I would sit at the beach and just hear all this music in my head again. I don't really play, but I can totally give you a hook. I can give you a melody. It's almost there. I just need somebody to help me play it and let's get the rest of it done. But I called him and I just said, hey, I was like, I'm back. This is what I want to do. I want to make my own music, and I hear all this music and it's good. You know how you're hard on yourself, but like for every 10, you might have something that's like, this is something. So he's like, well, just come over. I'll see what we can do. And from there, I called Danny Rader. So if you ever see Keith Urban on stage and you see the guy to the left, the really tall guy that looks like Keith Urban, that's Danny Rader. And I called Danny and I was like, hey, do you want to come in with Nathan and I and see what we can do? And so then Danny's like, well, just come to my house. I was like, okay. So we all went to Danny's house. And I remember before I walked in the door, I was like, God, give us something good. Come on, give us something good. And so I went in there and I just kept hearing these beats in my head, and I kept hearing, this is what I had. I'm going to sing it. In my bed. I'm sitting in my bed. I kept hearing, with you, I chase the rain. I call your name. Feel everything. I kept hearing that in my head. And I was like, I said, this is something. I don't know what it is. And then I kept hearing the beat going over and over. And so then Danny started playing the guitar, and then Nathan started coming in, and boom, there was Hallelujah. It was like one of those moments where it all falls out and you're like, wait a minute. And at this time, we're writing for my record where I was like, hey, I'm going to do this. This is what I'm going to do. And so all these songs fell out. And like, I do best when you send me home and then you let me sing in my head a little bit and then come back and do the demo. I do the best then that way. I know there are other girls that can stand up there like a robot and do it, but that is not me. I do not work that way, and it's okay. But I went back and it was, this is good, you guys. This is so good. Oh my God. I had to get a job. When I moved back to town, I had to get a job, and I got a job at a computer firm. Shut up. I had to wear pants. Oh my God, it was horrible.
Oh no.
It was horrid. I'd never had that kind of job. I was like, oh my God, what am I doing with my life? But I had to get a job. So I was at the computer place, and I remember I can't do this anymore. And that day they had layoffs. Guess who got laid off? Christy McDonald. I got laid off.
That's good. That happens for a reason.
Well, that night, Nathan called me. He's like, hey, do you want to come sing this thing? I'm like, yes, I got fired today. Let's sing. I was like, let's sing. So y'all, I went in there. I sang my little tushy off. He has a studio over his house where you can't hear anything below it. Yeah, his wife, kids, everybody's asleep, but upstairs you can't hear anything. The installation, the floors, all that jazz. But I went in there. I was like, you know what? Just hit that button. And Nathan's like, what are you going to do? I'm like, just hit the button and let me do my thing. If I mess up, I might giggle, but hit it again. He said, okay. So we just did it. And that was the vocal that has been this whole time. Nathan did the mix on it and everything. And he's like, Christy, he just kept turning around looking at me like, oh my God, this is so good. And I was like, yes, they fired me. We're going to sing this sucker. It's going to be okay. So literally 2 weeks or a week later, I'm going to say this wrong, so I'm so sorry. Stefan DeBronk, I always say it wrong. It's Robin Schulz's manager, who is also one of the head A&Rs for BMG. So he's at Nathan's house. And Nathan calls me and he's like, look, Christy, I have played him 200 songs. I've played him 200 songs, but he keeps going back and said, who's that girl? Yes. He said, who is that girl in that song? Would she let me have this song? And Nathan's like, man, I don't know. Because he's thinking this child has been in the hotel and she's on a mission. I don't know. Let me call her. Oh my God. So he calls me. He's like, whatever you decide, I'm on board. I was like, I love you too, boo. I love you. He's like, whatever you decide, I'm on board. They want to open Robin Schulz's record and add you to the record. Like the record's done, but they want to open it back up and put you on the record. And I'm like,
oh my God.
So I literally was, well, what do I do? Like, I don't have a deal. This time I don't have a job. Cool. What do I do? Honey, he's like, you know what you should do? And I'm like, say yes. So we said yes. Literally, honest to God, it's boom, boom, boom. So I get a call. He added 3 songs to Tomorrowland. I didn't know what Tomorrowland was. Y'all, do y'all know what Tomorrowland is?
Yeah, so Tomorrowland, for those who don't know, is a huge DJ festival in Belgium. A really, really big stage. And they actually just did a big virtual Tomorrowland because they couldn't do it because of COVID. And they did a really impressive thing. Like Katy Perry was on it, and they don't normally have acts like her, but it's mostly DJs. Robin Schulz, for those who don't know, is huge.
Oh, huge.
Yeah.
It's so crazy. And they sent me a video of it. And I was like, well, what is this? He chose 3 songs to add to his set. So you would hear James Blunt. You would hear, oh my goodness, I can't think. Like huge names. James Blunt, Beaver's on there. And then it goes into me and you're like, what is going on? And there's people dancing. I'm not going to lie, it was amazing. The song goes on his record, which is hilarious because it's Warner Brothers, where I used to be answering the phones. And then it goes on the record, but out in New York, the Warner Atlantic in New York. So his record goes 4th in the world. And then they start sending me all these charts where you're charting in Austria, Australia, girl. I was charting in Australia with the Chainsmokers. Yes, like crazy places like that. Then next thing you know, I get a call from Benita. Now I can say I'm friends with Benita, who is the head of global marketing for Warner Europe. And she's like, Christy, you got the Nivea campaign. And I'm like, well, what's Nivea? I'm like, let me go look what Nivea.
Hilarious. I use Nivea.
I didn't know at the time. Oh, I know Nivea. I'm like, oh my God.
Everyone knows Nivea. You see like the product and you're like, oh yeah.
It's so crazy. It is so crazy. So it became the commercial. I told Benita, I said, look, you don't know who those girls are. I think it's wonderful and I'm so happy and blessed, but will you put my name on the commercial? Because you don't know who those people are singing in the background. So they did. Y'all, they did.
What?
They put it at the bottom. So you got to ask. If you don't ask, you will not receive.
Oh my God. That is the best crucial advice for anyone who's listening. You got to ask. Just ask.
You got to ask, because if you don't ask, all they can do is tell you no. And listen, I've had no many times. Like, it's okay. Somebody's going to give you a yes, okay? It went out all of Europe, all of the Middle East. I had to break open my little book, like social studies, and figure out where everything was. And I'm so glad I said yes. I'm so glad I didn't stop. And then from there, it led to, I was in New York. My friend had a birthday dinner. So I'm sitting there and it's all these model people, and it was at a French restaurant. And to be honest, I was like, do I even like this food? But I do.
You found out then that you do.
I do. I was like, oh, I do like this food. Okay. So we're there and there's the head of iHeart beside me. And I'm like, okay. So somehow we become friends. And when they started sending me videos of the whole arenas in Germany singing my song, y'all, a whole arena. What is going on, people? So I sent it to him because we made friends at that dinner. I sent it to him and he's like, Christy, this is crazy. So next thing you know, he puts me on KIIS-FM LA.
No.
What?
Yeah. So there you hear Rihanna, you hear Adele, and there's me. I was like crying. I was like, what is happening in my life? Like, this is crazy. This is so crazy. So I'm literally riding down the road and there it is. And I had to like pull off the side of the road. I was like, stop it. This is not even happening. I mean, he can't just go put something on the radio. You had to like back it up with the numbers, which they have all the numbers to turn into them. But it was just crazy. It's one thing after another just kept happening. And I knew that I needed help at this point. Like, I feel like I've done what I could do and I'm not going to stop because that's just my nature of who I am as a person. But I knew I needed help. So I started meeting with other companies, and Big Yellow Dog is the company we chose. We had a couple of offers. I could say we had a couple of offers. And I was like, I really like them. I know them. Let me partner with them and then keep working to see what we can accomplish.
Are they helping you a little bit with the management, or do you have a separate manager?
Managers we are actually talking to now. Without saying who, there's a couple that I'm talking to right now. And that's got to be solidified soon. And then they help you as far as publishing. They've been amazing. Like last year, I signed with them December. And then all of last year, I was gone, you guys. I went Amsterdam, Sweden. And this is like where you go and write with these people and you show up to a different studio every day. Sometimes it's in the morning. Sometimes there's doubles where you have morning and night. But literally my first trip was Amsterdam to Sweden, back to Amsterdam, back home. Second one was Amsterdam, London, back to Amsterdam, back home. And then the third one, this was all last year, was Amsterdam just for the whole time because we've been killing some songs. So I have to be honest, stuff I didn't even know I could do. And it's amazing to get with other producers and have them push you because for me, I'm so competitive. I don't want to fail. So I get in there and I'm like, sure, let's try, But it's been amazing just even the past year of looking back and seeing the music music that we've gotten, relationships and writers and producers, and the music world has been a blessing. It's not always easy. It's sometimes you have to sit there and get yourself back together and say, okay, let's try again. But this past year has really been amazing. I'm so ready for everybody to hear the music that we've written.
What new music do you have and what's happening with the release?
Speaking of that, I have to tell you something about Australia in a second. The new EP is called Proud. It's so funny because we were honest to God in the studio cutting, doing the record, and then Corona happened. I look back on my phone and March 11th, I did a studio session. The 12th, I did a double. The 13th, I did a double, trying to get everything together. And then Corona happened. But the EP that we have right now, we decided we're not going to let this take away all the positivity and all the hard work. So we released a 3-song EP called Proud. Proud is actually, the title track is about my mom, which you guys will have to go listen to. I was on a beach in Amsterdam called Bloemendaal, and I never write anything mushy on my Instagram page. For some reason that day, it was the anniversary of her passing, and I was, I'm just going to write. So the co-writers that I'd already been with, they saw the post. The next day, they were like, Christy, will you please let us make this a song? And I was like, man, I don't want to put my emotions about that in a song. But they were like, just trust us and let us do this. And I was like, okay. So Proud came from that. And then she was a teacher, so she'd leave us little notes and books and all the things that she wishes for you or things she would say. And that ended up being the second part of the verse. So it was like boom, 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 there's Proud. And that ended up being the title track of the EP. So it was really sweet how it all happened. And then Are You With Someone, I actually wrote at a DJ camp, a Spinning Records DJ camp.
Ooh.
Yeah, I wrote there.
But how did you get into a writing camp at Spinning? Was that through Big Yellow Dog?
Big Yellow Dog. On one of the trips, they were like, hey, you're going to go to this camp and write with these people. And I was like, okay. I made friends with this girl in the morning. And then the group they put me with to write, actually, the guy his name's Stevie, he got a cut with Tiesto. He left to go get hammered, but I knew, I was like, I came all this way. I want to write a second song. Like, I'm here, you're here, let's go, So the Spinning Records guys, they brought in the girl that I made friends with that morning named Sophie. And she's done great work. Like Sophie Simmons, she's on a bunch of stuff right now. You have to look her up. They brought her in. We just killed it. Boom, we did it. It's called Are You With Somebody? And the cool part about that is they have a DJ version in Norway on Universal Norway, and they're playing it on the radio in Norway. So somehow I'm on the radio in Norway with their version, which they call With Somebody. My version is called Are You With Somebody? It might be confusing, but... And then the third song we have off of my EP is Your Moment. Y'all know Jay-Z. So Jay-Z, he opened a place here in Nashville called Rhythm House. And one of the producers there is actually from North Carolina.
Oh,
yes, child, where I got my prom dress when I was 16. He is from the small town.
That is so crazy.
Right? I know, it's crazy, right? So he's from the small town in North Carolina where I got my prom dress when I was 16 years old. And then he and I did Your Moment. We wrote it together. He produced it. And those are the 3 songs that are out right now on the EP. So please go listen, download Spotify, all the good stuff. Honestly, that came out and we started getting these crazy playlists. I was like, how is this happening to me? But thank you. So next thing you know, we're on Amazon's brand new best song playlist that's With Somebody. And that has like Harry Styles, and I had to go look up who DaBaby is.
Are you going into the songwriting rooms as a top liner for dance tracks, or are you more lyrics? What are you going in for?
Well, when they've been sending me in to a lot of these places, it's for me as an artist. But there's been a couple of situations like the Spin. They send me in and they usually have a DJ producer, they have a lyricist, and then they have a singer. But for me, I hear hooks and melodies, and then I can sing it to you. So when they send me in those situations, I know that's my role. But usually I can come and bring the hook too. So I've been thrown into a couple of those situations, which has been really amazing. Music is music. Like if you do something good, it's going to touch the world. It doesn't matter if half the people, if they speak a different language, it doesn't matter. If it's good, people will feel it in their soul and they got to believe it.
I know you do all things, but you're the hook girl, melody or lyrics or both?
I hear both. I hear melodies with lyrics. Sometimes I'll just hear melodies in my head, but a lot of time it's melody and a lyric. And even if I'm like rambling, I'll say it into my phone because you never know when you go back and listen, you're like, oh, well, that is you trying to say this. Through my mind, I'm like, oh, I think she's saying this word. I'm saying this word. So for me, that's what I hear in my head. When you write, what do you guys hear?
Yeah, I'm definitely more music, but obviously if I'm angry, I'm writing lyrics that come spewing out. But I can focus on the lyrics. I can turn my head to it, but I'm hearing melodies straight away. That's instant for me.
I love that. And see, that's a gift. That is a gift.
Yeah, and Jess is probably hearing, Jess is a drummer, so she's probably, do you hear melodies or are you hearing more beats?
I hear more beats. I will say with songwriting processes, it's more of like the structural aspect that I feel more comfortable with. I can hear something that I'm like, oh my God, that was amazing, or something that's kind of like, that sounds cool. Like,
it's interesting, everyone with their different musical angles, like how it works. But
there's some people who just write lyrics. There's some people that do it all, and I think it takes all kinds of kinds. You need everybody, and then it's amazing when it all comes together and you're like, yes, that is good.
Yeah, totally.
I have to be honest, I love being on stage. I love performing. I miss it so much. But I also have this other love when you're in the studio. When you're in the studio and you're making something, and when you get it back and you're like, wow, we did that. I know it's just a really cool thing. And spinning records, that was my first time with them. Then where you have those relationships now where people just send you stuff and they're like, well, do you hear anything? And sometimes I do and sometimes I don't. It's just really cool because it all goes back to the relationships. And if they remember you and they like you and keep letting you in the door kind of situation. So I got to say this because I didn't say it earlier. I don't want people to think, oh, well, she just walked in the door and then all these things happen, because that's not reality. That's not real life. There has been so many no's. There has been so many times where you're sitting at your house and you're like, what am I doing? Like people back home are already like having babies, getting married, and have like a corporate job. And there's been times where I'm thinking, what am I doing? But I know for all these no's, I never had a backup plan. I never had like a plan B. And to be honest, there's nothing else I really love. Yeah, I've left boys. I've given wedding rings back. I was like, but I've never given up on music. You know, music's been the one thing where I was like, you know, I can do this. This is something I can do. But it's not easy. And don't think, for people listening, you know, if somebody tells you no, it's okay. Because it just means that the yes will come. It has to be if you have enough courage and enough oomph in yourself to believe in you. You have to believe in you first, or they're not going to believe in you. And if somebody tells you no, it's okay. It is okay. You just suck it up and you go again. And when you go again, that's when you win. Like, that's when you get it.
Wow. I could not have said that any better myself. That is the perfect advice to give anyone.
It's been so good chatting with you, Christy. Really.
Oh, y'all too.
Amazing stories.
I'm just grateful y'all had me on, and I hope people go listen to the music, and I hope they love it. And
don't worry, it's not over yet.
It's not over yet, Christy, because guess what? We have a quiz real quick for you.
Okay. Oh.
Okay. It's really, really tough.
Okay.
You're going to be like, why? Okay, let's just get right into it.
I'm nervous. Should I be nervous? Oh my God.
Be very nervous, okay? Be nervous. Here's the first question. Dogs or cats?
Oh, dog. Y'all, when I was young, I would bring everything home. They all need a home, Mama. We got to bring them home. But dogs.
Again, I knew we loved you.
The winning answer. So. The next question is whiskey or vodka?
Both. I'll take both.
I knew I loved you at least. I'm both.
I'm such a lightweight, but I like them both. I like it both.
So we're coming to Nashville and we're going to drink whiskey and vodka with you.
Please come. Oh my gosh, I will take you everywhere. We will have so much fun. Oh, and actually, I'm going to be coming to LA soon. I know Corona's happened, but I have a whole little hazmat suit, honey. I'm going to get on the plane.
Bowie and I are also doing the testing every couple weeks to make sure we're negative. We're wearing the mask. We're being cautious. So, you know, if you feel comfortable with it when you get out here, let's go out for some whiskey and vodka.
Yeah.
We'll have a social distance lunch.
Exactly.
With some cocktails.
That's the most important part, right? So,
okay, quiz. I'm so sorry. Quiz. Okay, next.
Quiz. Back to the quiz. Next question is beach or snow?
Oh, people. Y'all know the answer already. Beach.
We knew that answer for sure.
It's the wrong answer, but we knew that was your answer.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I miss it. I'm going home in a week and I just can't wait. I cannot wait.
Okay, next question. Headline or opener?
Oh, headliner. I want an arena. We got to keep working. I got to go.
There you go. That's the right mentality.
I need an arena, and then people tell me I need my own little show, like a talk show or something, but I don't know. But we need arena first.
Lucky out to the arenas. Last question, okay? So what is on your rider when you play shows?
Listen, I've been on both sides of the ball game, so I'm not a diva. We need water. If you want to have some food brought in, that's fine. I am super simple because I've worked with the people who aren't. And I will be honest, and a little Diet Dr. Pepper because I love some Diet Dr. Pepper. But other than that, I'm really good.
Diet Dr. Pepper is a great addition to that, I have to say.
Yeah, I've been on both sides, so I try not to be too diva about it because we've all known these people.
That was the last question, yes.
Okay, yay, I got to share something real quick because this is crazy. We're in COVID, so it's like, how are you going to do a video? I was like, I don't know what I'm doing, but I just threw this little video together. It is so not like crazy professional, but we knew when we were doing it, it was just going to be like us doing it, But how about I reached out to nurses all over the world, and guess who sent me photos? Australia.
No.
Oh, yes.
Really?
Yes. How nice is that? I was like, I didn't even know Australia followed me. I said, what? So y'all, these people from Australia sent me photos, and they're in the video. I thought that was so lovely. I was like, how, right? I was like, how kind. It's on my list. I've never been. It's on my list of places. I want to go play there.
Oh, it's so beautiful. You'll be there soon, believe me. Once all this is over.
Oh, see, I'm hoping like maybe Keith Urban or somebody will take me. I'll be his opener there.
You'd be the perfect opening act. That would be amazing. So, hey, shout out Keith Urban.
I did not know this. And I had college friends call me from Charlotte, North Carolina. And they were like, Christy, your song is playing in this arena. I said, what are you talking about? So Keith Urban evidently does this playlist for when people walk into the arena.
Oh, yeah.
He makes it himself. And he added Hallelujah. Oh, yes. He added my song to his playlist that he does himself.
That is huge. That is massive.
So that's the only reason I say, well, maybe he would let us come open a show or something,
Absolutely. Yeah. Clearly, Keith Urban knows who you are. So,
gotta ask, girls. You gotta ask.
Like you said, that is the one thing I will keep taking away from this as well, is the best advice that I feel like I heard from you today is you just got to ask, because what's going to happen? The worst that's going to happen is someone will say no. And you know what? Not the end of the... So...
And we've had it before. Listen, it's going to happen again. You get these things in your life that happen and they're amazing and you're like, thank you, like, yes. But it doesn't mean you're not going to turn around and have a no. Like it doesn't mean like you're always going to have these yeses. And even to be honest, those people who are these huge stars, like they still get the no's. People don't know about it. They still get the no's too.
Exactly.
So we just have to keep pushing. Like if it's your dream, whatever your dream is and whatever has been put in your heart to do, don't stop. It doesn't matter where you live, where you're from, what color you are, what race, how old you are. It doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter.
You just got to go for gold.
Yeah, you just got to go do it. And if you're going to do it, you got to make sure it's good. You got to make sure it's great.
Yeah.
Well, Christy, it's been so good. Thank you. We really have had a bloody ball chat.
Yeah, you've been absolutely amazing. I think your advice has been so out of this world. It's been great. So for anyone who wants to follow you or find you on social media, your website, all that, could you give us maybe like your Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, whatever it is that you feel like people could, all of it. Just give us all of it so people can follow you because you are a fucking champ.
Oh, I love you too. It's Christy McDonald Music. So my Instagram is Christy McDonald Music. Same thing for Facebook. ChristymcDonald music@gmail.com. It is also my Gmail.
Perfect. No, that's great.
Yeah, I would love to hear from you guys. I would love people to come follow and...
Amazing. Yeah.
We're going to share all this on our Instagram and our Facebook and Twitter. And so you guys can all see where she's linked in.
And you guys can just follow her and see all the amazing things she's been up to and what she's going to be working on. Obviously, she's releasing a new EP, which we're so excited to hear. So thank you so much again, Christy. Cannot thank you enough. You've been such an amazing chat.
We're going to drink with you.
We're going to drink with you when you come to LA.
Yes, we will have cocktails and have fun. I love it.
Socially distanced tang is what we will have. So...
Ooh, what is that? Oh, I love it. I want it.
Social distance tang. And that's amazing. Thank you so much, Christy. And take care. We'll talk to you soon.
Oh, take care. Thank you, guys. Be safe.
Bye.